Hi everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. In this episode of NEET preparation, we'll be dealing with previous year questions of medical entrance examinations in India. We'll be looking at the questions on biology, and the chapter that we'll be dealing with is Anatomy of Flowering Plants. This is the sixth chapter in the grade 11 syllabus for CBSE. Let's begin with our very first question. Cycas stem shows A. Porous wood, B. Monoxylic wood, C. Pycnoxylic wood, and D. Ring porous wood. Let's look at this question. Now, the stem in Cycas shows a non-compact wood with less amount of xylem. Let's look at each of our options. Option D, ring porous wood. Now, what does ring porous wood have in specialities? Ring porous wood has less defined rings, which means that it has more xylem vessels. And that is not the type of wood found in Cycas stem, so option D is incorrect. What about option C, pycnoxylic wood? Now, this is hard wood and is extremely dense, whereas the wood in Cycas stem is non-compact. So therefore, option C is incorrect. Among our two remaining options, option A is also incorrect because porous wood is a hardwood, which again contains xylem vessels and in a large amount. So the right answer is option B, monoxylic wood. This kind of wood is non-compact and it has less amount of xylem, a large amount of parenchyma, a large pith and cortex, and it also contains resin canals in Cycas. So option 2, monoxylic wood is the answer to our first question. Option 2. The next question. Parenchyma is found in A. Parenchyma, B. Xylem, C. Phloem, and D. Sclerenchyma. Now, what is parenchyma? Parenchyma is living tissue floating in water. And by just a simple look into our four options, we can eliminate option D, sclerenchyma, as these are dead tissue. Option C, phloem, is also incorrect as it is a compound tissue containing dead elements because it's a vascular tissue. And option B, xylem, is also incorrect for the same reason. Therefore, the right answer is option A, parenchyma. Parenchyma is a form of parenchyma which has a lot of spaces in between the cells. It is a living tissue and it helps the plants float in water. Next question. Which of the following tissue is absent in vascular bundles of monocot stem? A. Xylem, B. Phloem, C. Cambium, and D. All of these. The interesting thing about monocot stems is that they show no secondary growth. So the tissue that shows secondary growth is cambium. so they don't have cambium. Option A is incorrect, as monocots, like other angiosperms, have xylem and phloem. It's a part of their vascular bundle. So option B, phloem, is also incorrect, and since A and B are incorrect, option D is also incorrect, as it cannot be all of them. The reason for xylem and phloem is both of these are present in all angiosperms, which are flowering plants. So xylem and phloem are always present in all kinds of angiosperms. Next question. Cork cambium is option A, lateral meristem, option B, apical meristem, option C, intercalary meristem, and option D, primitive meristem. Now, what does cork cambium do? It provides lateral growth to outer cortex. Now, if we look at each of our options, option D, primitive meristem. Now, this primitive meristem is found in the plant's young stages when it undergoes differentiation. So option D is incorrect. What about option C, intercalary meristem? This is found and is used for internodal growth, which technically is elongation. So option C is incorrect. What about option B, apical meristem? This again is found at the apex, and it is used to increase the height of the plant. Option B is incorrect. The right answer is option A, lateral meristem. Lateral meristem gives lateral growth. So that is the thickening of the stem, whether it be in the cortex or in the vascular bundles. Cambium or lateral meristem is used for thickening of the stem. The next question. Endodermis is, okay, let's go back. Control P. Endodermis is a part of A, cortex, B, pericycle, C, medulla, and D, epidermis. Now, the thing to know about endodermis is that it contains Casparian strips. And these Casparian strips allow for symplastic movement of nutrients, and which is taking place in the surface. So let's look at each of our options. Option D, epidermis. Epidermis is a part of cortex, and it has no Casparian strips. So that makes option D incorrect. What about option C, medulla? The common name for medulla is the pith, and this is the innermost part of a plant. So option C is incorrect because our endodermis is present closer to the surface. What about option B, pericycle? Now this pericycle is found in between cortex and phloem, and it does not have any Casparian strips. Option B is incorrect. The right answer is option A, cortex. Now, cortex refers to the general outer surface of the plant, which contains the endodermis, the epidermis, and in some cases, cork cambium. So it is the thick outer layer of the plant, which we call as bark. And so cortex contains the endodermis, which has these Casparian strips for the symplastic movement of nutrients in the surface. The next question. Lateral roots in higher plants arise from A. Cortex, B. Pericycle, C. Epidermis, D. Endodermis. Now, the fact about lateral roots is that they are endogenous and they are present inner to endodermis. And so let's look at each of our options. Option D, endodermis, is incorrect because this lateral roots arise from a layer which is lower than endodermis, which is more deeper. So option D is incorrect. What about option C, epidermis? Again, it is the surface. It is the outer surface of the plant, and lateral roots does not occur from the surface. What about option A, cortex? Cortex is not inner to the endodermis. The endodermis is the innermost layer of cortex. So the rest of the cortex actually lies above the endodermis. So option A is incorrect. The right answer is option B, pericycle. This is present in between the endodermis and phloem. And so it satisfies both conditions. Next question. The cambium of roots is an example of A. Apical meristem, B. Intercalary meristem, C. Primary meristem, and D. Secondary meristem. Now, the cambium of roots forms secondary xylem and secondary phloem. And if we look at our options, option A is incorrect because apical meristem is only for the height of the plant. Intercalary meristem is used for elongation of internodes. And option C, primary meristem, is incorrect because primary meristem forms primary plant tissue. Therefore, the right answer is option D, secondary meristem. Secondary meristem forms secondary plant tissues such as secondary xylem and secondary phloem, whether they be in roots or stems. The next question, which of the following is enucleate at maturity? So that means it does not have a nucleus. Option A is companion cell, option B is meristematic cell, option C is parenchyma, and option D, sieve tube cell. Let's look at each of our options. Option A, companion cell. These have a nucleus, which is used to control and coordinate sieve tube. So option A is incorrect. What about option B, meristematic cell? This is also nucleate for cell division, as they divide and differentiate to form plant tissue. So they have to have a nucleus. Option B is incorrect. What about option C, parenchyma? Parenchyma has a large nucleus and it contains a short vacuole, a small vacuole. So it has a prominent nucleus, which is found in microscopes. When we observe parenchyma through microscopes, we'll find that parenchyma has a large nucleus. So option C is incorrect. The right answer is option D, sieve tube cells, and these are used for transport of food materials through the phloem. So sieve tube cells are kind of similar to RBCs in this respect because both of these are enucleate at maturity to help transport food. The next question. Porous wood contains A. Vessels, B. Tracheids, C. Fibers, and D. Parenchyma. Now, porous means that it has pores, but these pores are a result of vessels. And so option D, parenchyma, is incorrect. Option C, fibers, is incorrect. Option B, tracheids, is incorrect. The right answer is option A, vessels, because it is as the result of vessels that porous wood gets the pores in it, and xylem is more prominent. Tracheids, fibers, and parenchyma are present in porous wood, but vessels are more prominent, most prominent. Now we move on to the next question. What passage cells are found in A. Endodermis, B. Pericycle, C. Cortex, and D. Epiblema? Now, passage cells are cells between Casparian strips. And so option D, epiblema, is incorrect as there is no Casparian strip. The cortex as a whole does not have Casparian strips. It's only the epidermis that has a Casparian strip. So option C, cortex, is also incorrect due to the same reason. No Casparian strip as a whole. Option B, pericycle, is also incorrect because it does not have Casparian strips either. The cells which have Casparian strips are found in endodermis. Option A is correct. So passage cells and Casparian strips are found in endodermis, and they facilitate symplast transport. The next question. Fascicular cambium is the cambium of vascular bundle of A. monocot stem, B. dicot stem, C. monocot leaf, and D. dicot leaf. Now, fascicular is the cambium found in bundles. Let's look at each of our options. Option D, dicot leaf. It has diffused cambium. And therefore, option D is incorrect. Option C, monocot leaf. This is outright incorrect. Monocots, no cambium. And the same is true for option A, monocot stem. Again, no cambium. Therefore, the right answer is option B, dicot stem. Dicot stems have fascicular cambium in the vascular bundles. The next question. Mesophyll is usually differentiated in A. monocot leaf, B. isobilateral leaf, C. dorsiventral leaf, and D. both A and B. So mesophyll is differentiated in dicots. If you look at our options, option A is incorrect because Monocots, no differentiation. Option B, isobilateral leaf, is also incorrect because isobilateral leaf is found in monocots and has no differentiation. And since option A and B are incorrect, option D, both A and B, will outrightly be incorrect. So it is incorrect. So the right answer is option C, dorsiventral leaf. Now, dorsiventral leaf has palisade and spongy parenchyma at different ends. And so that's why it's known as dorsiventral. And so now we reached our final question. In a dicotyledonous stem, the sequence of tissues from the outside to the inside is, and we have 4 options. Now here we need to be smart about which is the correct answer. We all know that among the given 4 options, which is phloem, endodermis, pericycle, and phloem, the phloem is innermost. And so since the phloem is the innermost, option B is incorrect because it has pericycle in the inside, which is not true. So among options A, C, and D, how do we find our correct answer? Now, if you've studied the cork cambium in detail and the external bark, you should know that the pericycle is in between endodermis and phloem. And so since the pericycle is in between endodermis and phloem, it leads us to the fact that option C is the right answer, because in all of the other options, such a scenario does not take place. Over here, the endodermis is between pericycle and phloem, which is incorrect. Option A is incorrect. And over here, it's the same scenario. The pericycle is kept at the top at the outside of a dicot stem, which is also incorrect. So option C is the right answer, which contains both of our conditions. Phloem is an innermost and pericycle is between the endodermis and the phloem. So the phloem is the outermost part of a dicot stem, followed by the endodermis, and then by the pericycle, and at the innermost, we have the phloem. And so that's all, folks, about this episode of NEET preparation. Now, we at Brain Blitz Audios have pledged to make free education available to all. To be a part of our journey, please subscribe to this channel. We'll be back with more useful and interesting content. Until then, stay tuned to our channel, and ta-ta for now.